Hi, I'm Aaron, but everybody calls me Snacks. I'm a little over 8.5 years sober, and we're going to be interviewing people that have overcome various addictions on this podcast. I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, whether you're one day sober, 10 days, 1,000 days, whatever it is, I'm proud of you. And we hope that by sharing our stories, we start some of you on your own journeys. Today I'm here with Amanda.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Nervous?
A little bit, yeah.
Me too.
I'm a little bit nervous.
Me too, but let's get right into it. So where are you from?
I am originally from Washington State.
Actually, you know what? If we get you to scoot just a little closer to the mic.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I am from Washington State. I'm an Army brat, so I grew up moving everywhere. Then I joined the Army and kept traveling, and family married into it. So I'm from a little bit of everywhere, but Washington State, Western Washington.
So what was childhood like for you, being an Army brat?
I loved change, and I still love it. It's the weirdest thing, but moving every year, 2 years, you adapt, you love meeting new people, and it's hard. It's hard, I mean, I will be honest with, as you know, with a lot of drug addiction and alcohol, it comes with a lot of trauma at a young age. So there was a lot of that.
You're taking the questions right from my mouth.
I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect, because that's kind of where I wanted to go. Like, usually everyone's different, but yeah, I think childhood trauma is where it kind of begins. Do you want to share some of that?
Sure. I was born in Bremerton, Washington as a kid. I have a twin brother and an older sister. My mom loved to drink. My dad was just a narcissistic jerk, and it was a rough childhood. There was a lot of other kinds of trauma that was involved, years and years. I can say I did not start healing from this trauma until I was 27 years old when I got sober. So it was a lot. It was a lot of trauma, but let's be real, it makes you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's rare that, I mean, what a blessing. We talked about the book earlier and stuff. I'm not really into that,
Yeah.
but I think in some sort of way it is a blessing to go through all these things and then be able to share a story, like you're doing.
I'm really honored to do it.
Cool.
I figure if it helps one person, it's worth it, overcoming the fear.
So I feel like this is hard for me to do, because we just met each other, and by nature I'm an introvert, but I kind of feel like it's a responsibility that we have now. Is that what you feel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that is partly program instilled in me. I started with AA when I was 4 months sober, and I was programmed for a long time. I'm not participating in the AA or NA program now, but it taught me that you give what's been so freely given to you, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for other people, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And now it's my turn.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could help facilitate that. Just
thank you.
just to share your story.
Thank you.
Let's go into when you first started. What was it, like cigarettes or drugs, alcohol? What did you first start on?
I was 11 and it was cigarettes. My mom smoked Marblights, the hundreds. I'd steal a couple here or there. And I remember my first cigarette was a Rollie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to try that. And I'm 11 years old. And from there, it was instant. I remember a boyfriend when I was 17 years old. He's like, don't smoke. And I'm like, no, too bad. And I kept smoking. And then alcohol I was introduced to when I was 14. Started with one of them shots that you light on fire, so I started young. In high school, I was that one carrying the bottle of Jack and Coke in the Coke bottle. Nobody ever knew. All my friends were smoking weed. I didn't smoke weed till I was 25, but I started with alcohol.
Did your parents know you were drinking at that young age?
No, I was really good at hiding it. I, as an alcoholic and a drug addict, I'm a master manipulator. I get what I want when I want, and nobody's going to say otherwise. So when I wanted to hide it, they were never going to find out. Plus, I learned from my twin brother and my older sister what not to do so you don't get caught. It was great.
So we went to cigarettes. We hopped into alcohol. When did you first try drugs?
I was in the Army. I was 19 years old, and my doctor prescribed me painkillers for a lot of medical problems I was going through.
Did you have accident or something, or what was it?
I was injured, and then I had some health conditions that they found that had me on bed rest for a couple months at a time. I mean, it was down to strep type A, where it never goes away kind of thing.
Could you just go in just a little bit? I just want to make sure we're getting all the mic.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So it was painkillers. The craziest thing, I remember the first time I ever felt high from a painkiller. I'm walking down in formation. I'm off to the side on where us on med are walking, and I remember just taking the next step, and it was like, I'm fucking floating.
Oh, shit.
I was floating, and I loved it, because with addiction comes a lot of mental health problems. I'd never, ever sought mental health care. My parents wouldn't let me, and so that little bit of relief was all I needed. That was it. And so from there, I came home from the Army. I was injured, so I got medically discharged. And I remember I just kept going. I had another medical condition came up, and it just so happened that it needed painkillers too, and it really did. I had 35 surgeries before I was 27 just because of some medical problems. Nothing serious, nothing life-threatening, but it was maintenance for my body. My favorite drug of all time, anesthesia.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was okay with going to surgery every 3 months. As crazy and outlandish as that sounds.
What did you like about it? Was it like the waking up from it, or
Oh no,
right
waking
before?
up, I knew I was going to have anxiety. They prepped me with all kinds of benzos and everything, like when I woke up. And it was a lot of pain, but going under, I remember just laying there and being like, all right. And whatever I was thinking, I didn't know, just came out my mouth. So I asked these nurses on dates. I would tell them they're hot or whatever it was, and they'd laugh. But it was approximately 8 to 10 seconds of nothing, just being awake, but nothing, silence. It was great.
I've been through one surgery once, and I remember the doctor had me count down like 10, 9. By 8, I was like out. So
Yep.
that's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, I used to have a competition with myself. How long are you gonna last this time? 11 seconds was my longest.
So what was the pain medicine that they had you on first?
It started with Vicodin, turned into Narco, and then outside of the Army, it turned into oxycodone. From there, with all of my medical problems, I was really good at alternating because, of course, they wouldn't prescribe oxycodone twice in a row in the same week. So, man, I'm having an allergy. I think I need a different medicine right now. Okay, here's some morphine. Here's some Dilaudid. I could go through a prescription in a day, 2 days. I mean, like a month-long prescription. And I'd be at the doctor, and they'd be prescribing it away again.
Was it an issue in the Army? Like as far as while you were in there, did you cover it up?
No, it wasn't an issue. I had never known about drugs, to be honest with you. I took DARE, drugs against, or whatever it is.
Drug Abuse Resistance Education, yeah.
Thank you, yep. I took that growing up, but I didn't understand the concept. I didn't even understand the concept of weed. My parents were military. Drugs are a big ol' no-no. So it was always drinking. So I didn't know that I could have a problem. The first time I remember going into withdrawals. Did not know what was happening to me. I'd never known withdrawals were a thing. Honestly, I was that naive. My parents kept me that sheltered in the military. And so when I first started going to withdrawals, it was like anxiety and all kinds of sick and sweaty. And I was in the middle of work, and I worked a corporate job where you can't show that. You just can't. And so it was really difficult. And I called my doctor, and he's like, no. And then finally I called my other doctor, and he's like, all right, cool, send it over. Never went off painkillers until I was 27 again.
How many years was that consecutive?
8, 9.
9 years.
Yep.
Ouch.
And throughout the time, it definitely developed.
When did you realize there was a problem?
Oh, I was 21. And I remember telling my best friend, my lifelong childhood friend, she goes, Amanda, I think you have a problem. I said, yeah, I know. She goes, what are you going to do? I said, nothing. I don't care. It's not affecting anybody but myself, right? No, it's just a me problem.
That young mentality, that young mindset.
Well,
I'm not hurting anyone else. It's my life. I could do what I want.
Absolutely. I mean, and at that point in time, you don't know the after effects of what it does. You just know, and especially in my case, that relief from the mental illness was enough to keep me going. Around the same time that I really realized it was a problem, I was also starting to seek mental health care. And there was depression, anxiety, ADHD, BPD, you name it. I got every kind of acronym you can, and it's active diagnosis. And the drugs made it so much worse. So it was all over the place. You know what a stronger medicine is than opiates to me?
What's that?
Mental health meds. You want to get into like hardcore?
I don't know those. So like, what are some of the names of some of them?
So a really popular one is Lamictal. That's for bipolar. I take one called Vraylar. It's a newer one that's out, but it's like an antipsychotic, antidepressant. Changed my life. I couldn't function before it 2 years ago. I mean, I couldn't clean the house. I couldn't do anything, and I still have a really hard time with the daily tasks. But it changed my life. I don't touch any benzos, no Valium, nothing like that. I won't touch sleeping meds, so I used to hallucinate on those intentionally.
Like Ambien or...
Yes, exactly. What are some others? I mean, Abilify, that's an antidepressant, gives you some energy. They had me on all of these. When I first started seeking mental health care at 20, they said, okay, here you go. Here's 4 meds. Lamictal, which is a really strong antipsychotic and bipolar medicine. What is that one? Xanax and Valium and Abilify. Yo, I was soaring. I was soaring on top of all the pain meds and everything else, and drinking, of course. I mean, I did not remember a sober day. How I functioned, I didn't really function, but I got my shit done. How, I don't know. I have no idea.
A functioning addict.
Yeah. And I will say with mental health meds, like I said, I think they're stronger than opiates. I was on, I'd say 2.5 years ago, I was on 18 different medications. Medications like Lyrica and gabapentin. Gabapentin's known to help with withdrawals, but it's also known for fibromyalgia and nerve pain. I mean, you name it, I was on it. And so 2 years ago, when I left Washington, I moved to Michigan, and I took some time for myself. It was going to be a relapse, or I was out. I got on the next flight out, and I left everything and everybody behind. I don't talk to anybody still. I moved to Michigan for an old Army buddy. I went and helped his mom. And on the farm where I isolated, and I loved it because I'm also an introvert, believe it or not, I started getting off all these mental health meds. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I got down to 10 on my own, so I dropped 8 in the matter of 4 months. Cold turkey, didn't ask a doctor, but I didn't have insurance anymore, so there was no choice.
So you're forced.
I was forced, but I was happy. When I came to Lake Havasu, I dropped another 6. Just dropped them. I was like, I don't want to live like this. The withdrawals from mental health meds last so much longer. You get the brain zaps. Have you ever dealt with brain zaps?
No.
Your brain is being electrocuted and it's all fog. You have no idea what is happening around you. Daily, all day. I couldn't function. Literally worse than withdrawals for me from opiates. Heroin, meth, everything. All of it.
That's nuts. So Arizona's the 4th state you've been to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
3 years.
In 3 years, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us about, I know you said you were traveling from state to state. You were running away from a DV issue?
I was, yeah.
So you had boyfriend, husband, or what was that about?
Boyfriend. Coming from trauma, I was an instant trauma bond. He loved me so much, right? And the love bombing and the back and forth. And I got to the point where I was going to relapse because of it. Getting kicked in and out of the house and holding your cats hostage over your head. And it was just too much. It drove me. And so I was also at the time on Suboxone. Well, Sublocade, the injection.
That's supposed to help get off, right? Like opiates?
It is.
Okay.
It's a synthetic opiate itself. I was allergic to part of the formula, the naloxone, so I could only do the injections for just the straight buprenorphine. That's the part that gets you high. Suboxone, me up. Hardcore. And I was on it for 2.5 years. It took me 1.5 years for it to get out of my system. Yep. Same with weed. That was 10 months. So when I came here, well, he followed me across the country, from Washington to Michigan to Tennessee to here. And I haven't heard from him in a year. I mean, I went no contact, and it was...
Did you have family in all these different places, or how did you wind up in Michigan and Tennessee? How did you end up in these places?
Family family's in Washington, but I don't talk to them. Michigan, I have a best friend that I've known since I was 18. Knows me better than anybody. He's like, come, just get here. So I did. And then Tennessee, I didn't know anybody. I just left again. I was homeless on 8 Mile for a good 2 months before I went to Tennessee. And I've been homeless living out of my car, no gas to get anywhere. I have to have the tow truck driver come and bring me a gallon of gas to keep warm. Like, didn't have a can opener to eat. You know, I was that kind of homeless. And that was only 2.5 years ago. And I was sober. I stayed sober through it all, but I was sober and my life became a shit show.
Sober, you mean alcohol and drug free? Drugs as far as like meth and so
Heroin.
you've done all that stuff too?
Oh, yeah.
How did you get into heroin?
Pills were too expensive. And I had a friend who had it and he was like, here, smoke some. And I'm like, okay. I did not ask questions. I did not ask questions with crack cocaine either. And that came about. That took me to my knees. That was a 8-month-long addiction. By the end of it, I tried to unalive myself, put myself and check myself into a mental health hospital for 6 weeks. And after that, it just shit show for another 4 years. Wow. So I've been in the mental health home a couple times.
When would you say you hit rock bottom?
Which time?
Like rock bottom meaning like the worst, when you know like, damn, I am in the shits right now.
It was when I chose life over death a year and a half ago in Tennessee. That was the worst rock bottom I've ever had. It was going to take my own life, and I mean it this time. I'm not going to fail, or I need to go. I knew one person here in town. I just left, and I haven't seen him since.
Wow. You haven't seen
my ex.
The ex? That's not the person that you knew here in town?
No.
Someone else?
No. He has no idea who I knew or nothing, and I knew this guy from up north. Mm-hmm. I've known him for 7 years, and nobody had any idea.
So you made your way here about a year and a half ago, you said?
Mm-hmm. May 5th of last year.
What was your... Yeah. What was your first impressions of Lake Havasu?
Oh, it was paradise. The friend that brought me here, he showed me the best parts of Havasu. Absolutely the best parts. From, you know, the little Mexican restaurants to the taking it down to the water, the palm trees. It was brilliant. And the people that I did get to know in the beginning were nothing but welcoming and warm and nurturing. And I'd never had that. Our community is still that way to me. It's amazing.
Yeah, I believe so too. We always help each other out. When someone's in need, someone's definitely there to pick us up. Yep. And I think that's like the biggest charming part of our city.
I think so too.
You know,
there's so much division everywhere else, and there's some here too, but we come together when it's time.
Yeah,
I love it.
So explain to me how you got the help that you needed here in Lake Havasu versus all these other places that you've been to.
Resources. I reached out. I sought the resources. I made the contact and I just left and I did it. And the resources here, another resource is who I'm working with now was Veterans United Arizona. They're a nonprofit in town. And they came to my aid when I had nothing. I mean, I came here with a backpack and the clothes on my body. That was it. Nothing else. Oh, some paperwork, sorry, that I needed. And
DD 214.
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely. Birth certificate, DD, and the Social Security card, that was it. Oh, and medical records. But so I was greeted with love, with clothes, with everything that I needed. And that had never happened before. So that's when I was like, wow, the love alone, the belief and the confidence in me that I never had in myself was enough to like, this is home. Okay.
That's a testament to the city, you know. So now you're living here, you teach ASL.
I do.
Right. How did you get into that?
I was bored in junior high. I was already learning Spanish. Said I want to learn another language, and I had already gotten all of my majors out of the way. So I picked another elective and picked sign language, and by the 9th grade, I was teaching in elementary schools. And I was very integrated in the deaf community in high school, taught at Washington State School for the Deaf for a quarter. And then I've always used it throughout my career. I wanted to become an interpreter and teach, but I didn't get to do that. I joined the Army, but now I'm like, I have such a passion for it. And I love the community so much. And I'm like, people want to learn. And it's not just people want to learn, people need to learn. There's no resources for deaf people in this town, hardly any. I mean, it's sad. And it's not just for deaf people. I've got families messaging me for my daughter is 1.5 years old and she just got a cochlear implant. We're afraid she's not going to be a part of the deaf community if she can't sign. We all want to learn. Absolutely.
That's a hard thing. It's you don't know what you don't know. So if we don't know, that we're lacking in that area here, thankful for you to show up and let us know that we're lacking in that area. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, and it's really hard because, I mean, a lot of people, even with drugs and alcohol, it's like, am I worth advocating for? Am I worth finding out if people think the resources are worth it here? Like, it's what society's done to us, absolutely, but it's also, like any culture, we're jaded. We're very jaded. If you could imagine not being able to communicate with 70% of the community around you at all, and when you see that one person who sees you signing or sees that you're deaf and makes an attempt, even the kids I taught today at the school, I was like, that alone, that empathy and that compassion that you have just made their whole day. Why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, you're making a difference. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how big or small.
No, the smallest ones make the biggest difference in somebody's day.
You're right. I agree with you on that. We talked about, I wanted to ask you, what was your MOS when you were in the military? What did you do?
I was a 35 mic. So I was what you call intelligence. I can't really get into it too much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm really good at asking questions.
Interrogator.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was intel. I was in Fort Huachuca, which is in Sierra Vista, Arizona, on the east side, and about an hour and a half south of Tucson. Mm-hmm. That's where I fell in love with Arizona. And I knew I'd come back. 14 years later, here I am.
Full circle.
Yeah, you can say that.
So yesterday, you started an event, a Sober Social. It's the first one.
The first.
Before we get into that, actually, let's talk about AA. Were you an NA or NA?
AA.
AA. Okay.
I tried NA for myself specifically. I felt like where I was at the community, I was reliving war stories, and I couldn't be stuck there. And as you know, NA is it's just like AA, but AA was original. It started with AA. It's the foundation of all of it, every 12-step program. And I appreciated the traditional values within the program. So it's what I stuck with.
Mm. How long were you going to AA for?
Off and on for 6 years. Wow. I just stopped going about 6-8 months ago.
And why is that?
We live in a very small town. With that, you see the same people. You hear the same things. There's a lot of judgment and a lot of people who can't mind their business. And even when you're sober, you can still hurt people, whether subconsciously or intentionally. There was a lot of pain. And there was one point where I was like, I'm getting more worked up over going to meetings than I am my job. I found peace outside of the meetings more than I did inside. So for myself, I had to stop. But
I've went to maybe 2 to 3 meetings because they were court ordered. I was supposed to go to AA. And I went, and I couldn't identify with anyone there. First of all, there was a huge age gap, so it's not that I didn't get along with anyone. It wasn't interesting to me, and I didn't go because I wanted to. I went because I was court ordered, So some people need AA, and that's great. But then I've got sober without doing it, no 12-step program. I don't know how I'm still sober to this day. I wish I could give some secret recipe or tell someone these certain things.
You want it.
Yeah,
enough.
Exactly.
You want it. That's enough. And that is a big difference between I have to, I need to, and I want it. Mm. That's recognizing potential in yourself.
So let's go back to the Sober Social. So someone tagged me on a post. I think it was you, Ralph, wasn't it, maybe? Someone tagged me on the post on Facebook. And it was your event that you had down at Rotary Park. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. So not being a part of AA, we all need support still. My friend and I were talking, and I'm like, man, if we need it, other people need it. outside of the program, we need the support and love. And so I just threw it out there on Facebook in the community page. And I'm like, would anybody like to go? And there were 400 people who responded. So I was like, well, we have to do it now. And then we're like, okay, in a few weeks. And I'm like, I don't think we can wait that long. So
what was your objective?
To what?
For the Sober Social, what was your objective? What would you like to see happen? You had a plan in your head and you put it to fruition. Yeah.
Acceptance, no judgment. Just people who come and want to socialize with other people while not drinking. This town is a drinking town. You want to go out, you go to a bar, a pool hall, whatever it is, you're drinking. Some people can't be around alcohol yet or whatever. And so we want an alternative safe space for people to come and seek support and give the support.
I agree. Everyone is different. I still go to the bar. I've moved here in 2009, and I still go to the same bars I've been going to because that's all we have here. All my friends, we hang out at the bar every week, and it doesn't bother me. I think I make it look easy, because sometimes a drink passes by and I'm like, drink that shit.
Yeah.
I get that urge,
Absolutely. We're impulsive.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it is.
Someone's ordering and I got to pass it to my buddy back here and I'm like, just fucking take it. Because if you do, now what am I going to do? Now I'm buzzed. Might as well fuck off the whole night,
Don't stop at one.
Yeah. But our culture here in Lake Havasu is to party. It's a party town. It's been that way for many years, probably since the 90s
Yes.
or maybe the 80s. But yeah, if it is embedded here, What I'm noticing though is times are changing a little bit. It's not, when I moved here in 2009, it's not the same. It's come down a lot. The channel's not what it used to be. I think people got older, and they still party, but I find this younger generation, 21 and younger, they seem to not being doing as much partying as the people in their 20s or early 30s still, So that's a good thing. I think they're actually a little bit more conservative.
Or isolated.
Could be. As long as they're not partying as much, maybe that's a plus.
Right. It brings so much chaos. That's why I partied. I loved chaos. I still love chaos, to be honest. Like, stirring shit up. I have to constantly, no, Amanda, don't do that. But being around it and having it there in your face, well, if you're not in the bar, you're not in, what are you doing? Yeah,
your temptation is almost out the door.
You're going to end up going to a bar, and you're going to end up being resentful over it. You're going to drink. We don't want that.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we can do and get together as a group over a bonfire, and, this weekend or next week we're going to be doing food. So bring your hot dogs, whatever we're going to grill. We're right there under the lights.
So what are your plans as far as the Sober Social, from here going forward?
Every Wednesday, 6:30 down at Rotary Park. That's
cool. So you guys heard it here. Every Wednesday, 6:30 down at Rotary Park. Mm-hmm. You know what? I am going to say this because I drink non-alcoholic beer a lot. I enjoy the taste of beer. I like it. There is so many non-alcoholic beers out now that weren't around even 5 years ago. So I definitely think there's a lot of people that are cutting down. I know a lot of people that have either stopped drinking or just cut down. My cameraman here, Rafa, is about 3 weeks sober.
Yeah.
So, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are doing that now. And the non-alcoholic stuff does help because I genuinely like the taste of beer.
Right.
So I don't judge on anyone. If they can have NAs, great. If you can't, that's great too. Some people can't have the taste because it makes them fiend too much, and I get that, But I think that's cool. So you said next Wednesday, 6:30. You guys grilling?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. Bring some food or don't. Just come on down.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I'm definitely going to try to make that. Maybe we get some footage of that and bring it to everyone, Awesome. What are some of the things that you think mentally that has caused you to stay disciplined?
Oh, I'm not disciplined. No, this is a practice. I am the least disciplined person I know.
So am I.
I don't do it until I have to. And it is sure as hell ain't because somebody told me to. It's like that last second, oh crap, I'm on my way to the airport, let me pack. I'm not disciplined. But what's kept me persistent is helping people, knowing I can't go back because I lost everything. I've started over so many times. It's not about that we all hit rock bottom, even sober. I just know I want life today.
That's awesome.
I've never been able to say that until I moved here. Genuinely.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
You know what I think? Addicts, alcoholics, we have the potential to make the biggest impact on people. But I think we're some of the most selfish people.
Yes.
You know, like we really don't give a shit. It's our world and everyone else is in it. I'm going to drink. I'm going to get fucked up. I'm going to do what I want to do. Yep. You know, and a question I get asked a lot, and I'm going to ask you this question, is how did you do it? I get asked that all the time. You know, so what would your answer be to someone that asked you, how did you do it?
How did I get sober?
Yeah.
I got desperate. And that word potential. I had the spark of remembering what potential was to me. Going from a corporate job to moving around the country to raise my niece and all kinds of stuff. I was like, man, is this what I'm going to waste the rest of my life and the people I love lives on? And then I just stopped. It took me going and checking myself into another mental health home, into the hospital. I detoxed in there for another 4 weeks, and then I moved into a home that assisted with mental health people. And that's embarrassing to admit, but I want to say that it shouldn't be embarrassing because you want the help. You go seek it. That is the bravest thing you can ever do. The bravest thing. And I didn't know it at the time. I was mortified. I've never told people. I don't tell people still. But I feel like for those people who need the mental health help, it is so worth it. Try coloring. I'm not kidding. Grab some gel pens, a coloring book. Mindfulness.
You know, it's funny. I lost my dad a little over a year ago.
I'm sorry.
And since then, I guess I've developed this anxiety bullshit, you know, which I still don't know what it is, but I think I get it now. And one of my friends told me like to start coloring and stuff. I'm like, not a big fan of coloring, but you know what? What if I did Legos? So yes. I started making Legos. I got Star Wars Legos and shit. It's cool, but it's fucking expensive for these little plastic pieces. I'm spending $100 on a goddamn R2D2. You know?
If I had that kind of money, it'd be Harry Potter. Just saying. I'd build a castle.
Oh, that's cool.
Stuff like that, keeping your hands and your mind occupied are so important in the beginning of sobriety especially. But to keep it going too. Stay busy.
That's exactly a good point because I get asked that all the time. And I'll tell them, look, what works for me is not going to work for you, but I'll tell you what works for me. I had to recognize my weak points. And my weak points was Friday night and Saturday night. Everyone wants to turn up. So I waited as long as I can till like 11 p.m. or midnight. And I went to the gym. And I was in the gym for an hour or two. So by the time I was done, it's like 1 o'clock. I'm like, I'm too tired. I can't go to the bar now. You know, everyone. So that helped me a lot. And I did that for months. And I spent about 4 New Year's Eves in the gym by myself. It was like a little tradition for a while, you know? So, like, you can do it. I can do it. You did it. Everybody can do it. You just have to want it bad enough.
You have to want it.
Yeah.
And it can't be for other people. I know a lot of people say I did it for my kids. You can't be there for anybody until you're there for yourself.
Right.
Until you build those skills.
That's a great point, too, because bless you for having the sober social thing, you know? Again, everyone's different. I'm a little bit more hardcore. I'm a tough love motherfucker. Mm-hmm. That's what I am, you know? And to me, it's like I have a little bit of problem sometimes being compassionate, and I'm actually working on that, you know, because I understand I did it cold turkey. I did it hardcore, but not everyone could do that. Mm-mm. And I get that now, you know? Mm-hmm. But what's allowed me to help other people is just be an example in front of all these guys, my friends, you know, every weekend after weekend after weekend, not drinking, sitting there, like showing them that I could do it. It's kind of a little joke. I'm like, I think I'm going to get fucked up for a little while. That way I can show you guys, hey, I can do it again.
Yes, I can come back.
I can come back, dude. I'm going to go on a bender for a couple months to show you guys I can do it twice.
There you go.
Because I would say probably 75% of my friends or the people that know me now, they don't know me as the drunk ass, you know, that was doing cocaine and ecstasy and meth and all that stuff, you know. But I think lead by example, you know, because you can go crazy trying to help people and trying to understand them, and you're not going to understand everybody.
Oh, I don't want to understand everybody because in a lot of ways, if I'm understanding and that compassion happens, then I am condoning your fucked up mentality. And to me, it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. It's different. It doesn't have to be wrong. It's different. but I don't want to understand. When I have compassion, I think of how I would feel, not how they feel, or that's empathy. That's important. But with the compassion thing, compassion isn't enough. Compassion is what compels you to do things. We did a 12-step call about a month ago, something like that. Do you know what a 12-step call is?
I don't.
In AA, what it is it's when somebody calls you, says, I'm drunk, I'm gonna drink, help me, you go to their aid. You're there. Whether it's giving them another shot, whether it's getting them to the hospital, let them wait it out a couple days, you're there. You're there to encourage them to get sober. So when we did this, I was not nice. You heard me throughout that house, and I didn't know the guy personally, met him a couple times, but I was at the point where it was like, do you see what you're doing to hurt these people? And I turned into a dick. It's not always about love. You got to be hard. You have to be, because sometimes that's the message people need to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different.
To me, that's the most effective in that. So you called it a 12-step, what is it called?
A 12-step call.
You want to hear something funny? I did this last night.
Did
and
you?
I didn't know what it was called. So on Instagram, I got a message at 11:42. It says, my brother, are you awake and free? This is someone who follows me who's from like the East Coast. I don't know personally. I was dead ass like half asleep, but I said, what's up? Because I know he drinks, you know? And he says, my brother in Christ, I'm going to level with you. I'm feeling mighty close to a drink, as close as I can be without drinking one. I seek guidance from someone who knows this pain. I'm barely hanging on right now. I want that whiskey so bad. And then we proceeded to talk, you know, for like a half hour online, and I got pages and pages. And the last parts was me telling him basically sleep it off. You know, you're that close. You made it another day. And I told him, no booze tonight, sleep it off. Message me in the morning and tell me how you feel. And he messaged me this morning, all in caps. He says, I didn't drink, Brother Snacks. I ride the pale horse for yet another day. Thank you so much for being there when I was so weak. I'm in your debt.
That is when he was strongest.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I told him. Right now that you're reaching out to me, first of all, good for you for reaching out to a stranger completely across the country, you know, but something's calling you inside because you don't want to take that drink, you know, and all you needed was someone to give you a little pep talk, you know, to walk you through it. And that's when I'm down to help people, because I see you want it for yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, I have friends that want to get sober, and I have that same conversation every Friday with them when I see them, every Saturday with them. It's like,
you want it, but what are you doing?
yeah, you're not doing it, you know?
And recognizing potential in ourselves, it also means that you're going to have to move on at some point, because that's dwelling in the problem, and that is insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You don't want to play a part in that insanity. So just like people got sick of us, we get sick of it.
Yeah.
We get sick of them, and that's hard. But I had to be gotten sick of to realize how shitty of a person and a friend I was. I had to be that person. But people, when they reach out for help, that's when you're compelled to help them most. Absolutely.
Exactly. That's when I'm a hard ass, but I'm the hard ass that you want on your side, because I'm gonna fucking ride for you as hard as I can, and I'm gonna pump you up. You know.
Absolutely.
All he had to do was just fall asleep and get through that night. So I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome. He lives another day.
How do you feel about doing that?
This morning when he messaged me, I knew he was gonna do it. You know, I have a way with words.
Yeah.
And so we had a great talk. I was gonna call him on Instagram. You know, because I felt like maybe he just needs to hear my voice. But we did it through text. He followed up with me. I told him, I know you don't want to let me down, so you're going to stay sober tonight. You know, and him reaching out to me this morning was awesome. And seeing how happy he was. He had just got a new job yesterday, too. You know, so I'm like, dude, you just got a new job. The best way to celebrate it is by waking up fucking great tomorrow morning with no hangover, knowing that, hey, I didn't drink. Yep. He's going through girl problems and family problems and stuff we talked about, you know. But you never know what you say, you know, to other people can help them. That goes for good and bad. I always tell people, like, we're living life, and you and I are just having a conversation. I'm having a conversation with him or him, and you don't know when you're making a core memory for someone. Yeah. If I pass away someday, someone's going to remember something I said or I did, and that's what they're going to remember me by, you know, and that's for good and bad.
Yes.
You know, so be careful, because it's a blessing and a curse.
Yes, and I will say, I'm going to relate back to AA for a second with that. That is so true, especially with an AA, because we're so lost and confused. We have no direction to head. We look to others for the direction. Sometimes it's misled, maybe even with the best intentions, but results are not intentions. And so it is really hard. It's a curse and a blessing to have that voice that people are like, I'm going to listen to. That responsibility, like you were talking about, you have to be aware of it at all times. You make a little comment or a joke about something that people are going through, the trigger. You have to be sensitive. You not sensitive to the point that you're coddling. But you just got to be aware. Some things trigger some people. Something you're going to say is going to make them feel bad about themselves. But then again, it's not your responsibility to feel for other people either.
Right. That's up to them to interpret that.
Exactly.
You know, and that's a skill to realize that I don't control anything around me, but I control my reactions.
Yes. I like to say something my friend told me I'm a part of the I don't know shit club. And I'm so happy to be there. The more I know, the less coachable and moldable I am. And I don't want to know. Just show me. Let's go. Yeah. And I don't need to be stuck on it or anything, you know? It's pretty cool when you don't know.
I get you. I did have one question here. The military. Do you think that had an effect on you continuing your addiction, like wanting?
Yes. I was so depressed getting out of the Army. I did not want to get out. I got out right when a lot of my battles were deploying, and I felt like I'd let them down. And so after I got out of the Army, I absolutely resorted to it to heal. Well, you know, to get away from that feeling. Yeah.
Good. I had that question Malachi asked. That was a great question.
It happens more often than you think. I mean, especially in the military, when you get out, assimilating into a society again, when everything is the polar opposite of what they just broke you to build you into, you don't know how to act. You don't know what to say. Most people think we're vulgar and too outspoken. Yeah, I am. Yeah, you're damn right.
Coming out of prison, you're institutionalized, you know?
Yeah, it's what you know. Yeah. And like civilian life, you don't know what you don't know, but we don't know civilian life. So assimilating is very difficult. Leaving the military, I didn't deploy, and I've still got mental health issues from that. Big time. A lot of people, I'd say probably 90% of the people leave with mental health issues. I don't know that statistic for sure, but most of them will never seek help. And I will say 988, if you ever need help as a veteran, it's a crisis line, call.
I didn't know that. 988.
988, yep.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Any last,
Is that something that you can, like, because, like, a lot of people go on, like, the disability and stuff like that through the military, is, like, the mental side of it, can you still be covered from the military for that stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. They take everything into consideration. I'm actually still fighting for my claim, my disability. But they take your physical. What they look at is how you're injured, or what the injury is, what the military did to cause it, what you did to fix it, if you could, and then from there, how it's affected you in the long run. It's a lot of work. When I first applied, I gave up. I got denied the first time. Oh, we can't prove it was the Army. They didn't exist before the Army, you know, and so I got denied, and I got so sick of the government, I was done, and I just gave up. I just gave up until I started working with Veterans United Arizona here in town, and I figure if I'm going to help people, I might as well help myself too, right?
Yeah.
You have to first.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I will say the VA in town, phenomenal. A lot of people think different things, but I'll tell you what, I've been to the VA in Lakewood, Washington, out in Michigan. People care here. People care at this VA, and it's amazing to see.
That makes me happy. I love our city.
I do too. I started with nothing, even the furniture in my apartment. Like, the community came together and was like, all right, here you go, let's do this.
It gives you a different sense of feeling. It gives you a sense of real community.
Yeah.
You know, when people come to your aid.
It makes you feel special.
Like Havasu, we love you.
Yes, we do.
Do you have anything to say in closing?
I don't think so. I'm really appreciative to be here. Thank you.
Cool. And Sober Social every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. at Rotary Park.
Yep, it's by the skate park, by the volleyball nets, under the little building things.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, Amanda. I
Thank
appreciate you coming
Absolutely.
in.
That was great.
My name is Aaron, and this is I don't even know what the show's called yet. It'll be called something, though. But we are Lakeside Legends. I appreciate you tuning in. Please look for videos in the future dealing with more people overcoming their addictions. We hope this has helped you.
Thank you.